In the vast, ancient forests of the Pacific Northwest, a silent bond formed between a man and a magnificent bird. Wildlife biologist Dr. Aris Thorne had spent years studying the intricate dance of life in these woods, but nothing had prepared him for the story that was about to unfold. High above, a bald eagle he had come to call Ella carved circles in the sky. She was the queen of this domain, a symbol of wild, untamed freedom, her sharp eyes missing nothing. Aris had chosen this remote cabin for its solitude, a perfect outpost to observe the forest's residents. Ella was a constant, welcome presence. He'd watch her for hours, perched on a towering Douglas fir, a stoic guardian overlooking her territory. He saw more than just instinct in her. He saw a keen awareness, an intelligence that felt almost personal. Their days fell into a comfortable rhythm. Aris would work on his research, and Ella would hunt, soar, and watch. He never tried to get too close, respecting the wildness that made her so majestic. Then things began to change. It started subtly. Ella began flying closer to his cabin than ever before, her powerful wings beating a steady rhythm that seemed to carry a message. She would land on a branch just outside his window and let out a series of sharp, unusual calls, not the territorial shrieks he was used to, but something more urgent, more insistent. Aris, ever the scientist, noted the behavior in his logbook, dismissing it at first as a curious anomaly, perhaps a change in nesting patterns. But the odd behavior continued. One morning, Aris found a peculiar twig on his porch. It wasn't just any twig. It was a scorched piece of pine, smelling faintly of smoke, something he hadn't seen in this damp, green part of the forest. He brushed it aside, puzzled. The next day, another appeared, then another. Ella would circle overhead after each delivery, her piercing gaze fixed on him as if waiting for a reaction. A sense of unease began to creep into Aris's professional calm. This wasn't random, it was a pattern, it was communication. He felt a prickle of concern, but the sky was clear, the air was fresh, and the forest seemed at peace. What could she possibly be warning him about? The answer arrived with terrifying speed. The weather turned on a dime. Dark, bruised clouds rolled in from the east, a direction they rarely came from, swallowing the blue sky in minutes. The wind picked up, howling through the trees with a sudden, unseasonal fury. And with the wind came a smell, the acrid, unmistakable scent of burning wood. Aris's heart sank. He scanned the horizon and saw it, a plume of dark gray smoke billowing up from behind the distant ridge, a wildfire. The scorched twigs on his porch suddenly made a horrifying amount of sense. Ella hadn't just been acting strangely. She had been delivering a warning, a message from the front lines of a danger he couldn't yet see. The storm winds were fanning the flames, pushing the fire directly toward his valley at an alarming rate. Panic began to set in. The only road out was a single winding dirt track that would likely be blocked. His radio was silent, the storm probably interfering with the signal. He was cut off. He felt a surge of fear, not just for himself, but for the forest he loved and for the magnificent eagle who had tried to save him. As smoke began to haze the air around his cabin, Aris grabbed a small survival pack, his mind racing. Where could he go? The fire was moving faster than he could run. Just as despair started to take hold, he heard a sharp, commanding cry. Ella was there, circling low above the cabin, her calls cutting through the wind's roar. She flew a short distance toward a rocky, less wooded incline to the north, then circled back, calling again. It was a clear invitation, follow me. In that moment, Aris had a choice. Trust his own limited knowledge of the fire's unpredictable path, or trust the instincts of a wild creature who understood this land far better than he ever could. He looked into the sky at the determined eagle, a beacon of clarity in the growing chaos. He didn't hesitate. He started climbing, following Ella's lead. The journey was a blur of smoke and adrenaline. Ella acted as his guide, a living compass. She would fly ahead, land on a high branch to scout the path, and use a complex series of calls to direct him. A short, sharp cry meant this way, a longer, lower call seemed to signal wait. She guided him along a ridge, away from the dense, dry underbrush that was fueling the fire's rampage. He could hear the inferno roaring in the valley below, a monstrous, hungry sound. But up here, following Ella's path, the air was slightly clearer, the heat less intense. They were moving away from the heart of the danger. After what felt like an eternity of climbing and scrambling, Ella led him to a wide, barren rockfall on the side of the mountain, a natural fire break. From this vantage point, Aris could see the full, devastating scale of the fire as it consumed the valley where his cabin once stood. He was safe. He slumped against a cool boulder, his body exhausted but his mind reeling with gratitude and awe. Ella landed on a nearby outcrop, her feathers ruffled by the wind, her golden eyes watching the smoke with a somber stillness. She had not only saved his life, she had led him to a place where they could both wait out the storm of fire. As the hours passed and the immediate threat receded, a profound sense of calm settled over Aris. He watched Ella, the brave sentinel who had risked her own safety to guide a human she barely knew. The fire was a tragedy for the forest, but in its midst, something extraordinary had happened. A bridge had been crossed between two different worlds, built on trust and a shared instinct for survival. He realized that for all his scientific knowledge, he had almost missed the most important lesson the wilderness had to offer. It wasn't just a collection of data and species to be studied. It was a network of living, breathing, feeling beings, capable of incredible intelligence and empathy. Ella had proven that. She was not just a symbol of freedom on a flag. She was a sovereign, intelligent individual who had shown him the deepest meaning of connection. In the quiet aftermath, surrounded by the haze of a changed landscape, Aris Thorn knew he would never look at the world or the sky in the same way again.